All right, so our next speaker is Aimee Bernstein. She's going to talk about stop fighting pressure and learn to use it. And her gift is a 30-minute coaching session. So, welcome, Aimee. So happy to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, well, what if pressure was a gift? What if that gift was part of the life force and was intelligent? Would you resist it or would you welcome it? And if you welcomed it, who would you become? And how would it change your life? Hi, I'm Aimee Bernstein. I'm founder of Open Minded Ventures. I am a professional and personal coach specializing in stress reduction, women's empowerment, and leadership. I'm an organizational consultant and trainer and a psychotherapist, and I'm the author of Stress Less, Achieve More: Simple Ways to Turn Pressure into a Positive Force in Your Life. So, I recognize that a lot of people are under pressure these days. The pressure has just gotten enormous, it seems, for people. But beyond whatever we're going through personally, there's something else going on. And that is that the consciousness of the world is evolving. Consciousness is energy. Energy has a frequency. When consciousness evolves, the frequency speeds up in order for the old to break down and the new to be born. Now, clearly, we're in a period of breakdown. You see it around the world, whether it's wars or school shootings or political divisiveness or climate issues, you know, all of this stuff we can't control, we can't influence, but it's affecting us. The good news, though, is that just as consciousness is evolving within the world, this is our opportunity to evolve our own consciousness. It all depends, though, on how you relate to pressure. So let me talk a little bit about pressure and stress because people think that they're the same, but they're not. There's a universal law which says whenever there's a job or task to do, energy in the amount needed to do the job comes into our mind-body systems. Now, you know that. You go to run a race, you go to perform on stage or give a speech or go for that hot date. Energy comes up through your system, right? Your heart starts beating faster, your legs might get shaky, your stomach might get tight, right? That's the energy coming into your system to do the job. Now, if you resist that energy by fighting, by asserting your will, by collapsing under it and, oh, I'm victimized by it, or by going into your head and trying to analyze it, you're going to experience discomfort, distress, and over time, if you continue that, disease. And by the way, your performance won't be very good. But if you welcome this pressure, which is actually the energy of change, you will experience high performance, aliveness, and joy. So the usual way that we deal with pressure and stress, right, is we say, here's the formula: exercise, meditate, good diet, get enough sleep, and have a good support system. And if you have that stuff, if you're doing that stuff, please continue. But maybe we have it backwards. In other words, it's just one more thing to do in a busy schedule. And you can't be doing yoga poses in between back-to-back meetings. And even if you go to the gym, do you go every night? And if you meditate in the morning and you're feeling really good and calm, and then you get in the freeway and it's gridlock and you say to yourself, I'm going to be late for that important meeting, are you still in the Zen zone? I don't think so. So maybe what we need to do beyond all this other stuff is to recognize what we're doing that's causing the stress, not just the behavior, but the energetic habit that's causing the stress, and then learning how to quickly shift back to center when we get pulled off balance. And all of us get pulled off balance. I don't care who you are, right? So to learn this, recognize that there are many versions of you, okay? And each version has certain qualities and can handle a certain amount of energy or pressure. There's the smaller one in you that kind of says or does some things that, you regret later, you feel kind of insecure, anxious, contracted, right? Then most of the day, though, you operate from a larger point of view, a middle ground, a norm, and you get things done, everything is fine. But then at other moments, you are extraordinary. You're operating from a finer dimension, right? Things are coming out of your mouth you didn't even know you knew, right? Your performance is extraordinary, okay? The problem is you don't know how you got there. So you don't know how to translate it from the activity that you're doing to your everyday other stuff, right? See, we've never learned how to do that. Most of us have learned how to think. Maybe we learned how to feel emotionally, but they never taught us in school how to sense feel or how to intuit. So what I teach and what I've learned over the years, 40 years of doing this work, and this work, by the way, that I do is a mix of psychology, the energy principles and practices of Aikido, which is a martial art of love, and meditative practices. Um, and my formula is self-awareness plus here-ness, which is embodied presence, creates the transformation, creates the skillful action. So now I know as a psychotherapist how important self-awareness is, how important it is to reflect, to journal, to think about what is the root cause of my issue. That's very important. But I also know that self-awareness insights do not necessitate change. In other words, it's not just awareness. You also need to have the experience, the embodiment of it. You have to be as spacious, as big enough of a capacity to actually do the job. So if you're a 20-volt person, I'm making this up, you're a 20-volt person, here comes a job with 50 volts, you got to get clobbered by it. You need to expand your presence, your energy, that big space around you, right? If you don't, it's not going to work. If you do, there's the aliveness and the joy and the high performance, okay? So I'm teaching energy mastery. I think that that's become an extraordinary, important aspect of our lives today as we deal with more pressure. And I have learned that if you change your energy habits, it's much easier to change your behavioral and habits in your belief system. So if you're willing to play with me, I'd like to lead you through some practices. And the first thing I'd like to do is to have you assess your energy habits, okay? And as you do this, approach it like a internal researcher, an inner researcher. So you're not judging, you're not telling stories, no blame, no shame, none of that stuff, right? You just sense feeling, okay? So if you're going to play with me, sense feel something that comes over your head, down through your system, through your torso, down into the ground, right? I'm not saying visualize it. I'm saying sense feel it, okay? And I'm going to call that center. And you may want to do this with your eyes closed. Might be easier for you. What I'd like you to do is from that center, sense feel how much energy radiates out the front of you, okay? Just sense it. How far does that energy radiate? Okay. Okay, now come back to center and sense feel how much energy radiates through the back of you, through your physical back and out through the field in back of you. Are the two halves equal or is one dominant? And I'm going to explain what all this means afterwards. Okay. Now sense feel that center again and sense feel the energy moving out through the left side of your body into the field on the left. So from your head, your torso, your legs, everything, all that whole left side of you, sense feel that energy. Again, no blame, no shame, no judgments, just sense feel it. Now come back to center and sense feel the energy on the right side of your body. Through the right into the field on the right. Are the two halves equal, or is one dominant? Last one. From your hara or tanchien, that's the place that's your center of gravity. It's a couple of inches below your belly button. What I'd like you to do is to sense feel your torso, your head, the energy above your head, that whole top of you, right? How present do you feel? How alive do you feel in the top of you? Now from that center, tanchien, hara, whatever you want to call it, a couple of inches below your belly button, sense feel the bottom part of you. Your legs, your calves, your ankles, your feet, and how far underneath the ground do you sense? Can you sense your root system underneath the ground? Now, are the two halves equal, or is one dominant? Okay, now let me explain to you why this matters. Modern life has a way of pulling us outside ourselves, into our to-do list, into our social media or computer, everything outside us. The more our attention, our energy radiates out, we tend to lose ourselves. We lose our power. There's no support there. In other words, just like the physical body, the spine supports the physical body, you need the energy field in the back to support the whole system. Okay. Now, if you have more of a sense of the back than you have in the front, I ask you, what's holding yourself back? Do you have that limited mindset of, oh, don't be too big, or people will interfere with you? What's holding you back? If you are have more energy on the left side of you, then you're probably better than in receiving. If you're a righty, you're probably better in receiving. But if you are less in the right, then what's holding you back in terms of putting your actions out into the world? So if you have more of the right side, feel more of the right, oh, you make things happen, but you might not be receiving as much. You need both of them. Last one. If you feel the top part of you, oh, that's good. Thinking, feeling, emotionally feeling, your heart might be open. Okay. And you're kind of getting these downloads from your soul. You're connected here. But you don't have the bottom of you. You need that ground, just like in hurricane force winds. The tree that has the deepest root system is the one that is going to survive. If you don't have that, you're going to get anxious, you're going to get scared, you're not going to have the power to keep going. If you have the bottom part, you're very rooted, oh, good. But, are you connected with your heart? Do you sense that energy, that soul energy kind of coming through you here? Right. So we really need all of us. And what I suggest you do is to start noticing, am I holding myself back? Am I giving myself up? Am I receiving? Am I doing? What's happening for you? What are your energy habits? Now, in order to begin to change them, what I'd like to do is to put you through a couple of really simple practices, right? And then we can talk or have some questions or whatever. The first thing is that every mindfulness teacher will say to you, okay, you're under pressure, take a breath. That drives me crazy because yes, they're right. But most people, when they take a breath, they go, it's all shallow, right? In the course of the day, you might even forget that you're not really breathing very much, right? Some people are much better at it. So what they do is they breathe into their hara, that lower belly. That's good. Okay. But what about the rest of you? The bottom of you? Your legs, your feet, where's the ground? So if you play with me for a moment, what I'd like you to do is to take a breath, let the exhale be longer than the inhale. Now, before we do that, I want to take you through one step further ahead of that. If you're in your head, it's hard to really get out of your head into your mind body. So what I'd like you to do, quick trick, I want you to open your mouth a little bit and to feel as if you had a heavy beard on your chin. Really feel heavy beard. Now, if you're playing, you'll notice that when you're in your head, the attention's here. As soon as you start putting your attention down into your chin, heavy beard, okay, now you're beginning to drop down into your body more. Remember that the universe operates as a two beat. The waves come in, the waves go out. The sun rises, the sun sets. Similarly, someone cuts you off on the freeway, we go, right? The energy comes up. We forget the second beat. That energy that settles it down. So you're in your head, heavy beard. Nobody knows what you're doing. Heavy beard. Okay. Now, as you take the breath, right, let the exhale be longer than the inhale. And instead of blowing it out, what I'd like you to do is to make a sound. So like this. When I inhale, see, when I inhale, I am breathing through here and my hara, my belly, my lower belly, and everything is expanding like a balloon. So in the inhale, and then when you exhale, ah. Now, wherever you'll feel the energy going down through your body. Wherever it ends, okay, so for me, it kind of ended by my thighs. I take another breath, and I feel the energy moving down through my legs, through my feet into the ground, okay? So instead of one process, a breath, no, I take two, and I feel the energy settling. And as I do it, I say to myself, settle. In my head, I say settle, because I'm beginning to imprint that word settle into my nervous system. Okay, so let's do that again. Take a breath and exhale. Ah. Okay, now this time I sensed it edging in my feet. Okay, I take another breath, and from wherever you landed, feel it going down even further. Okay. Now start to practice that. What I have done is I put a little post-it on my computer screen, which says breathe. I put it on my refrigerator, breathe. just little reminders on my mirror, breathe, right? Just to remind myself to take that breath and really let it go down. Now, as it goes down, what you'll start noticing is as the breath moves down through the body, down into the ground, it begins to spread out. Just like you throw a pebble into the water, to the lake, it ripples out, right? The same thing, you let your breath come all the way down. Under the ground, it begins to spread out, and then it begins to beat back up, and it beats back up in the circle. It's wider. Now you're becoming more spacious. Okay. Now, one other practice I want to do with you, if you'll play along with me. And what I'd like you to do is to put your hands next to each other, but don't let them touch. Put your attention in between your hands and very slowly separate your hands, keeping your attention in between your hands. Now, very slowly, move your hands back together, but don't let them touch. And keep sensing in between your hands. And open them again. Sense feeling in between your hands. Whatever you're sensing is correct. Okay? Just go with it. Now, as you keep doing this, see, energy is intelligent. It has certain qualities. It describes itself in terms of power, intensity. So as you keep doing this, it might begin to change. Oh, first it felt like this, now it feels like that. Keep going. Now what I'd like you to do is to expand your hands even further so that you can still feel in between your hands, whatever you're feeling. And again, close them, but don't let them touch. So for me, I feel it's like a magnet, like an accordion. There's some heat there, some tingling. But remember, whatever you're feeling is correct as well. Right? Now open it up as far as your hands can go, still feeling whatever it is in between your hands, and hold them open for a minute and feel what you're experiencing in your body, how that affects your experience of your body. Now slowly close them, don't touch. And one more time, open them up again. And you might start feeling more of your back than you did before as you become more spacious. Yeah. Now, what happens for me and which happens for most people is the presence begins to change. So I used to work with the senior vice president of Chanel and his senior team, and they would run from one meeting to another. And they'd be so in their heads from all this information. This was the R&D team. So much that they'd come to a meeting, they'd be up here. So what I taught them to do was underneath the table, so no one could see them, right? Open the hands, right? Start sense feeling. Because if you can sense feel in between your hands, you're not so much in your head. And as you expand, your presence begins to change. Your presence begins to become more spacious. As your presence is more spacious, your confidence increases. Your executive presence increases. Your ability to handle challenges increases, right? So what you want to do is to start opening, becoming more spacious. So when you're in that smaller version of yourself, or even in your normal, which is fine, there are going to be some challenges that you're facing. It may be as oh, what do I cook for dinner tonight? Or I can't cook that 4-course meal for people. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a huge challenge in your life. Just regain your spaciousness, regain your presence, right? And as you do, you'll be able to cope with things much, much better, right? So the practices to begin, there are many energy practices which I teach. I teach a course called Roar of the More, which is a mind-body energy mastery series, training and coaching series. And I teach lots of these energy practices because they change things really quickly. One more that I'll give you before we end, and that is if you feel too much in your head, or if you take a walk in the morning, if that's your exercise routine, what I'd like you to do, and you can try playing it with it right now, is to feel your feet and feel your elephant feet. Big, wide, thick elephant feet. Heavy elephant feet. Ah, and let the energy settle down into your feet. Big, wide elephant feet. Now, elephant feet, oh, they don't just lightly stand on the ground. They kind of go into the ground. They sink into the ground. Let your elephant feet sink into the ground. Now, as you do that, you'll probably feel more grounded, right? Now, grounding, by the way, is not just walking on the grass barefoot. That's great, but that's 101 grounding. What you want to do is sink under the ground, right? So with your elephant feet, you can begin to sink underneath the ground and start feeling the qualities underneath the ground. Now, I was working with the CEO of a construction company in Canada, and he would run from one meeting to another. And he was a nice guy, but he'd be running so fast that sometimes when he'd get to the meeting, he would be insensitive and he would say things or do things that would kind of tick people off. So I said to him, when you're ready to get out of your car to go into the meeting, what I'd like you to do is to take the breath, get out of the car, and walk with elephant feet. He thought I was a little crazy. But what happened was he played along, all right? He started walking with elephant feet, which slowed him down, but he wasn't late for the meeting. And when he got to the meeting, he was more grounded. He was more present. And people said to him after a while, what happened? You're changed. You're different. Elephant feet, right? So instead of rushing from place to place and place, take the breath, expand yourself, walk with the elephant feet, and see what happens. And, sometimes in the morning, if I take I walk with elephant feet. I let go of the way Aimee usually walks, and I allow my elephant feet to walk me. And however they move me, I allow it. And I start feeling, oh, what's happening? What's happening in my system? Am I feeling more present? Am I feeling more spacious? Am I feeling more relaxed? It's the qualities, it's the perception of sensing that you want to play with. And these are just a couple of silly little tips, that you can begin to use to begin to train yourself to sense, feel, and to stop fighting pressure and learn to use it. So if you have any questions, I put my email, which is Aimee@openmindadventures.com, in the chat. And please feel comfortable to just reach out to me. I'm very accessible. And also, I am offering a 30-minute coaching session. So if you're interested in this work, if you have some issue, pressure that you want to talk about, whether it's self-awareness or embodiment stuff that you need, just reach out to me and let's have that 30-minute session. So to end, may the world return to you the peace you bring to others. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. That was great walking us through those little strategies there. And I love the elephant feet. I wrote that down in my paper. Elephant feet. I wrote that
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
I was
Play
like,
with it.
gotta
Play with
remember
it. It
that one.
really works.
Gotta
Yeah.
remember that one. Thank you so much. And the link to Amy's gift I put in the chat again in case you missed it the first time. It'll take you directly there for the 30-minute coaching session for her.